What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So I have some good news to share with you guys. Now, I'm going to call it promising news when it comes to COVID relief, because it looks like we have some lawmakers that are starting to talk about COVID relief. Now, I'm going to explain exactly what's going on and what they're talking about. And then I'm going to explain why I think this is important when it comes to potentially another round of stimulus checks. Okay, now I'm not telling you that we're getting another round of stimulus checks. I'm just telling you that this information that's coming out, this gives some ammo for another round of stimulus checks. So we're going to discuss that. But first off, on this channel, we talk about financial news and what's going on in Washington, D.C. If that sounds like something interesting to you, please subscribe to the channel and hit that little bell notification. That way you'll get notified anytime we put out a video. And like always, if you see my name and a picture of me in the comment section, make sure you see a check mark next to my name. That check mark signifies that it's me. If you do not see that check mark, it's not me. It's someone trying to impersonate me. Okay, so let's go right over to this article, and I want to talk a little bit about this. Now I'm going to explain it, and then I'm going to tell you why I think this gives some ammunition when it comes to a stimulus check. Okay. Lawmakers begin talks on another round of coronavirus relief for businesses. Now, you see, it says for businesses, right? Now, right off, you're saying, well, how does that affect me? Now, I'm going to explain to you at the end of this video why I think this is important and how we got to the first rounds of stimulus checks that went out. Okay, so you have Democrats and Republicans, and these are senators, so this is really important. We're not just talking about Democrats, we're talking about some Republicans that are interested in more relief. Now, their focus is they want to help restaurants, gyms, and performance venues. That is their focus, okay? Now, the money is pretty much run out from the last stimulus package, that $1.9 trillion bill. At least the money that can be spent. There's some money that's still there, but it can't be spent because they need to repurpose it, but it has to go back through Congress in order to do that. So that's why these lawmakers are starting to talk about this. So you have Senator Ben Cardin and Senator Roger Wicker. These are the two senators that are pretty much authoring this bill. As a matter of fact, mid-December, they put together a bill or a proposal for $68 billion. Now, it's not that much money, but then they're also looking at repurposing. Okay, they want to repurpose some of the money from the past stimulus packages. So that is the focus. They've also talked with some other senators. So you have Senator Cantwell, you have Senator Warner, you have Senator Collins. They've been talking with them as well to try to get them on board and then have them reach out to other senators to see if there's some support for this. Now, the good news about this is if you have some Republicans, you only need a few Republicans, 2, maybe 3 Republicans to want to move forward with more COVID relief, and they can pass it through reconciliation if that was the situation. So the White House, they're not really talking about this. Okay, so they're not really speaking on this or not confirming if they're negotiating right now or talking about more COVID relief. And Press Secretary Psaki pretty much put out there that, you know what, the economy is going strong right now. There's really no need for more COVID relief at the present time. I think that's a huge mistake. Now, I think the White House needs to talk about this because this is something that can definitely help businesses, which in turn will help the American people. So this is really good news. And this is the first time that we can really say that we see politicians talking about more COVID relief. Now, I know we talked about the fact that this is targeted to businesses. It's not targeted to individuals. But when we're looking at the last COVID relief and the relief before that, so when we're looking at the second stimulus check and the third stimulus check, it started off focused on business. Okay, so we were looking at EIDL loans, PPP, all that stuff. It was focused on business, and then they added stimulus checks to that. That's basically the way that was working. And so when it comes to this is another situation where stimulus checks could be added to this, okay? Now, the money that they're talking right now, $68 billion, and then they'll repurpose some of the unspent funds. That's not that much money when you're looking at the grand scheme of things when we're talking about stimulus checks. So if it was a stimulus check, you're going to need a larger amount of money, like $200 billion, $100 billion, depending on how targeted the stimulus checks are. But the fact that they're talking about more relief is good news. That means that they're at least looking at the fact that, hey, businesses are starting to suffer. And usually the way it works is when businesses start to suffer, politicians pay attention. the reason that they pay attention, especially during an election year, is because guess who is funding their campaigns? Businesses. And so they're going to pay attention. And it's going to be one of those things where it's like, hey, you remember we had this COVID relief funding that you received? Why don't you help with my campaign? That's how it generally works. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are when it comes to our political landscape. I mean, you can't run a campaign if you don't have money. And so that is what some of these politicians are looking at. The reality is they're looking at this and saying, okay, let's help businesses. And the hope is that once they start talking about helping businesses, then you're going to have the American people come in and say, wait, what about us? I mean, you've let us know that businesses are struggling. Well, the American people are struggling too. Are you going to help us? And then that's when politicians will be put in a really awkward position, because they'll be like, hey, yeah, you know what? It makes sense. We're helping businesses. We're acknowledging the fact that businesses are hurting. So we have to at least acknowledge the fact that the American people could be hurting as well. And so we're going to follow this and see where it goes. I'm going to follow these two senators and see what they're talking about in the future. And I'll make sure to update you guys with that information. So make sure you subscribe, hit that little bell notification. But when it comes down to it, this is good news. It's good news that they're talking about more COVID relief. They're getting to the point now where the money is starting to run out from the last COVID relief package. So they have to start looking at, okay, do we need more money? We're looking at Omicron. We're looking at a rise in cases. So the reality is more stimulus could be on the way. And if they can't get Build Back Better through, if they can't get that as one large bill, well, then maybe they're going to start focusing on COVID relief and then adding some of that Build Back Better stuff into COVID relief and try to make a bipartisan bill out of this and pass it through. And they can still pass it through reconciliation, even if it's, let's say you have a few Republican senators that come on board, you can still pass it. All they need are 50 votes in the Senate. That's all they need. It doesn't matter if Senator Manchin's for it or Senator Sinema's for it. All you need to do is pull a couple of Senate Republicans on board and you have a bill. You have that bill that you can push through reconciliation. So the bottom line is, if they have money for businesses, they should have money for the American people as well. And the American people, I'm sure, will speak out on this. And because it's an election year, American people are voting. Okay, businesses don't vote, but the American people do. Businesses might have money for politicians, but the American people are the ones that are going to the polls. And so I'm sure there'll be a strong push, a strong argument to allow stimulus checks, at least for a targeted group. Now, I'm not saying that everyone's going to receive a stimulus check. I'm saying that they can have this for a targeted group. And we also have the child tax credit. I didn't even talk about that, but the child tax credit, it's up in the air right now. So if the child tax credit's up in the air, Build Back Better's up in the air, COVID relief package, maybe that's something they should be focused on. I think it will gain more support. At least you have some Republicans that are interested in it. And you don't have any Republicans interested in Build Back Better or a child tax credit. So because you have some Republicans interested in it, go with that. Go with the COVID relief and see if you can move forward with that. So I want to know what you guys think about this. So let me know down below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye.